hi everyone. It's episode 162. We are in the beginning of October. For Whooper though, it's not yet October.
Yeah, I'm lagging
Uh,
behind in terms of time. Last day of
yep.
September over here.
And we're doing like some of our favorite tradition to review the three shows coming from summer 2023. These three shows, one of them haven't finished yet though. It's Zom 100.
Right.
One of the other two had like released in one batch. Since it's in Netflix, it's Ooku the Inner Chambers, and the other one is Undead Girl Murder Farce.
Right. Would you say this is one of our favorite traditions? That's how you
Yeah,
that's how you put it.
we we doing like on the seasonal reviews and the first impressions. I think that's like our tradition.
They
And
are they are our traditions, but I don't, there's always at least one show whether we pick usually it's 3, but whether it's been 3 or 4 over the course
yeah,
of all the seasons that we've done this, there's always one, at least one that is just so terrible, at least in my opinion, that it like drains my soul. So I don't know if I can call it a favorite tradition because that means every time we do this, I'm gonna have to watch something that I really don't care for.
yeah, but we like just reviewing like three shows out of I think what would be 35, 40 shows now.
Yeah,
So three would be like a very good number. And even then I agree with you, like some of the show it just really hard to get through.
yeah. Did you think any of these 3 series, Undead Girl, Murder Farce, Zom 100, and Oku, were
I
hard to get
I
through?
I, I think of one. Oh, it's not because it's hard to get through, but because I don't think it stay up to the potential that we see in the first episodes.
Ah, I see. Well, do you want to start with that one or end with it or keep it a
Let's
secret?
start
What do you think?
let's start with that one and see if we are on the same mind about that show.
Okay, I'm gonna guess that you're talking about Zom 100.
That's the one. How about you?
Yeah, yeah,
All right, so let's talk about Jump 100.
right.
It's funny because two out of the three shows that we're about to talk, they are from manga and they have like the live action adaptation. One before, one like 10 years before, in case of Oku, and this one, Jump 100, we also have the live action adaptation that I think released this year.
Oh, is that right?
Yep, yep, I'm pretty
I
sure of
mean,
that.
Undead Girl Murder Farce is not based on a manga, but it is based on a series of novels.
Yep.
I don't know if it has any live action stuff going on. It'd be hard to do because there's zombies and no, there's not zombies. There's werewolves and vampires and things like that.
Yeah.
But Zom 100, all it has to do is zombies, and you can even achieve, like, if you're talking live action, you can achieve a zombie effect using just makeup and
Yep.
hair. You don't need CG. But I mean, the anime version had CG in it.
Yep.
CG zombies. I feel like they held off for a while. The
Well,
the CG zombie hordes didn't become like readily apparent until some of the later episodes.
yeah, but I think that's because they have the production issue or something, right? They,
Most likely, yeah.
uh, yeah, because I remember like they delay some of the episode for a few weeks.
hmm Yeah, and there's currently no time frame as to when the last 3 episodes out. So we're having already seen and having already watched and talked about the first episode here. We're talking about episodes 2 through 9. There's no, of course, they're contracted. The anime studio is contracted to produce episodes 10 to 12, but there's no
Hmm.
like time frame for when they'll air on television or be released on Blu-ray or whatever.
Yep.
They'll just eventually come out. uh,
Eventually.
yeah, which I think that's a good thing because
Yep.
it's probably been a
So
struggle to get this whole show put together. So not to have a date that they have to rush to meet is nice.
yeah, but then again, uh we might have something akin to Wonder Egg Priority, where they just like really blow up the last two episodes.
Yeah. Could be. But I
Yeah,
mean,
well, this one based on the manga though, so they have some of the endings, some of they know the direction of it.
yeah, I'm sure that the scripts are done already, and
Yeah.
they're based on an existing on existing material. So I mean, I personally I'm not really that interested in even watching those 3 episodes. When they come out, I'll probably try them, but I somehow doubt that I'll watch all three.
Right. All right. So talking about Jump 100, we saw the first episode and we really like it. The way that it contrasts the way Akira Tendo feel in a normal workplace. He feel like a zombie. So it's just an irony that he feeling alive again when like the worlds come into the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
I think it carried on really well on the second episodes because we kind of shift perspective into the girl that he met, and he also she also like come up with the same list a bit different from him because she doing a list to avoid becoming a zombie.
Yeah,
Whereas I Tendo making a list things to do before he become a zombie, so he doesn't afraid of dying or like becoming a zombie himself.
yeah. The show loves contrasting characters by like making them create lists.
Yep, yep,
Because
yep,
not only does Shizuka, the girl who you're talking about, not only does she make a list in order to prioritize her own survival, which you can compare with Akira making a list of things he wants to do, you know, ways he wants to enjoy his life during the zombie apocalypse. There's also a new character introduced in episode 9 who
yep,
makes a list of things that he wants to do during the zombie apocalypse, but they're all, rather than them being ways that he can like find joy in this
yep,
new version of Japan. They're things that he can do to inflict like pain on others and to kind of take his own version of revenge on the world
yep,
for him feeling left behind by society, I guess. So it's
yep,
like you see Akira do it, you're like, oh, okay, this is the kind of the basis for the show that they're going to go from place to place and check off things on his list. That's neat. Then they introduce Shizuka's character, and they kind of use the same technique, but in there's a twist on it to
yep.
so you get a sense of what her character is like relative to Tendo's character. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess that works. And then they do this
Mhm.
for this third character, like, okay, just this conceit is so stupid. Like,
Well,
people, this isn't how people just. This isn't like a core human behavior, like the show thinks it is.
yep, yep. I have the same feeling. And even like the second episode, I still feel a bit impressed by the show. Like they have a really big wow moment where Shizuka just pull Akira from like
The path of a
from where he
speeding
stand.
truck.
Yeah, out of the speeding truck to the supermarket they were staying. So that was really like a moment that we didn't expect. None of that happened, like in the later episode. It feel more and more conventional and more servicey,
More and more what?
fan services.
Oh, I mean that's built into the
Yeah,
show, right?
that's right. That's right.
I mean Kensho's character is always getting naked.
Yeah,
It's
well,
equal
I I,
opportunity.
I think I lost a bit of I lost half of my interest the moment that he joined the show.
Why is that?
Uh, just because he's like I would say a typical, like best friends type, and like he always have that have a thing of like going naked and like shaking his ass,
Hell yeah.
and then the show love to like censor that
Right.
in a really comical way, and then later on we get introduced to another uh characters who is German but love Japanese culture. I think I enjoy like one shot out of her, but she typical big boof, big made this very well for a German, and
Right.
kick ass.
Yeah. Puts on a samurai outfit, man.
Yeah, that's right. Oh
Nothing wrong with
man.
that.
Oh man.
I mean, it's the show's all about enjoying yourself in the zombie apocalypse, right? It's not
True.
like most other zombie fiction where the horror element is like the draw.
Yep.
So the fact that the characters are like happy-go-lucky and very physically attractive and are not wearing very much clothing, I think it kind of fits with the show's overall like ethos, which is that Akira wants to enjoy himself and do all the things that he never got to do when he was still a wage slave. Uh,
Yep.
and so we, as the audience, are also like encouraged, I guess, through the character designs and the fact that there's so little clothing covering them. We're encouraged to enjoy ourselves, I guess, by I don't know, sitting down and watching a bunch of hot people make their way through this new zombie infested world.
Yep.
Not
I
not everybody is dressed for battle all the time and constantly looking over their shoulder. You know, the characters are like Akira, his voice actor has that kind of screaming quality to his voice. It sounds like his throat is tearing half the time, which doesn't make any sense because that would draw zombies. But that's not the point of the series. Like survival is not the point.
Yep.
Like seriousness and realistic character designs and clothing are not the point.
Yep, I agree. And even like Akira, because of his like newfound attitude, like he really enjoy himself. He doesn't really afraid of zombie, so it's given him a like an uncanny power of like I really no I never have any doubt that like he would escape all the zombie, even though he's like in the middle of a zombie crowd.
Yeah, I mean he is the main character. That
Yeah,
helps.
yeah,
That helps
yeah,
your
yeah.
survival.
Damn.
I do like I mean right around when they went to the aquarium, which I think was in episode 5,
Mm-hmm.
um and
Oh
they
man.
they pick up the shark suit. That's kind of where the show started to lose me, like lose my
All right.
interest. Honestly, it was probably even before that. But
Yep.
the aquarium episode, I was like, I'm not
Oh,
really interested in
I.
watching any more of this. But I
All
will
right.
say that him picking up that shark suit with
Yep.
the titanium rings in it or whatever it has that makes you resistant to like it's non-puncturable, so the zombie bites
Yep.
can't get you. I was like,
Yep.
damn, that's smart.
Yep.
That's a
Yep. Yep.
really good idea, like on the show's part, to have them go to this aquarium and pick up like basically they went. I mean, it was on his list and everything, but clearly the
Mm,
reason it was written in was so that they could pick up that suit and he could become like a warrior,
yep.
which I
Yep.
liked.
All right. I have a phrase for that.
What?
Really appropriate. Do you think that's the episode where the show jumped the shark?
uh,
Mm,
no,
my
I
God, like,
where it jumped the
uh,
shark. I mean,
yep,
I get that would if you were to identify an episode where the show jumped the shark, it would be that one, just because it's silly that the shark has a bunch of
yeah,
zombies inside of it, and so it can be kind of piloted by them, even though they can't see anything.
yeah.
Um,
That is really weird, like the way they come up with the uh with all these zombie animals, because in really we don't really know what caused the zombie apocalypse in this show, right?
yeah, it's just vague.
Yeah, it's really vague. They don't even try to explain any of that. And now we have a shark who can walk, who
It can like sprint. It's really
and
fast.
that's right. And even not even the shark, but like all the other fishes are zombie-nized as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They
So
at one point like a hole gets busted in one of the glass walls,
yeah,
and so water starts to come out of it, and then the fish get launched out of it, and they're moving so fast that they get stuck into like a pillar, like a concrete pillar,
yeah,
as though they
yeah,
were bullets, or arrows or whatever.
Yep.
which I
Yep.
thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but still, it doesn't make any kind of sense.
No, well, the whole show doesn't make any sense. Zombies don't make any sense, you know.
Yeah. And like as the show goes on, I just feel less and less care about this character, and even to Shizuka herself. Like she appear as like one of the really bad ass girls who like plan everything ahead, and then later on, I think she just kind of function like Akira's love interest.
Um,
I
I
I
don't think
just
so.
don't
I
get
don't
it.
think so. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously she
All right.
is his love interest,
Mm-hmm.
but the show hasn't like really pushed that too hard. There was the scene in episode 8 where they go to the hot springs or whatever,
Yep.
and you know she's bathing in there, and he accidentally bumps into her, not knowing that she's in the hot springs, and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. He does his
Yep.
the typical anime thing. But outside of that, I don't really think the show has really pushed it down anybody's throat.
All right. What do you take in an episode where Akira meet his manager?
Hated it,
Yeah.
absolutely hated it. Those
Hmm.
episodes killed the show.
Right. Yep. Yep. I kind of agree with you on that. I think this show really had a very strong opinion on the corporation, on the the salary man. Like just on the corporation company just keep shocking um the employees' energy or all their life devoted into doing something so so painful, so still soulless. But yeah, I think they try to push it a little bit too much in that episode to try to get that point across.
Yeah, I mean the character design of the manager is just so
Mm,
off-putting.
mm-hmm.
His voice is so annoying. The idea that he would have gotten a whole bunch of people to
Yep.
to follow him and to like set up this little miniature society
Yep.
makes no sense, because why would all those people willingly work for him?
Yep.
Uh,
Even like he doesn't own any of the cars, like a truck. Like other people come and have in their truck, and later on we see like they drive in the truck and gone and leave him with nothing. And yeah, don't really get it.
well, the reason that so many people got trapped there was because of the spike strips, right?
Yep.
He
Yep.
and whatever goons were working for him initially, like the people wearing the baseball uniforms, set
Yep.
up spike strips to trap people. What I don't understand is where, because the reason that Akira and his crew go with them at first is because um, they need like new tires. He
and,
promises
and,
to
and
fix their car and stuff. Where does he get all the tires? Where do they come from?
yeah, and Kenichi was injured as well.
What?
The friend
Kencho?
oh, Kenjo, all right, Kenjo was were in injury, so that's why.
Oh, right,
Yeah, they spent a few days
right.
with Tendo, working for him. But yeah, it doesn't really make sense. I would say that they store all the tire themselves so that they can do the service.
I guess
But
so.
what I don't understand is why people just keep working their ass off and for 2 or 3 days and feel like the need to not go for for Tendo we understand because like he used to be he's an employee of this guy, but for other people
Well, I don't know.
yeah.
It's hard to say. Um, to be honest, I'm kind of thankful that the show didn't answer that question, because then it would have to
Hmm.
spend even more time on that
Yep.
story.
Yep. Yep.
So it's
Yep.
better for it not to make that much sense or to be vague, because that means we don't have to look at that guy's face for more than 2 episodes. But 2 episodes was already too much.
Yep.
He's regardless of how logical it is that he has this whole place set up and that people stay there and are willing to work underneath his thumb,
Yeah.
um, it's just unpleasant. Like the show is grinding its axe so obviously and so loudly, and Akira becomes such a pushover. Like the PTSD that he experiences
Hmm.
is just like the show is taking its idea about people getting trapped in corporate life and like kind of getting brainwashed there or stuck there and falling back into their old ways even after the end of the world. It's clear what point it wants to make, and but it just keeps going and going,
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
it's like it's painful. It's just really repetitive, over the top,
Yep.
bothersome.
I think one of the fun thing we're supposed to get is that when Akira put on the thing that he want to do on in the list, like in one way or another, it will come up in real life so that he could experience that and cross it off. The thing is, we we don't really get a sense of what his lit is like because we don't know any Japanese. So I think that joke is um, usually like it pass over it when the chance appear. You know, like when they see a tree house, or they when it's time for them to like having a sushi. If we know that it's one of the thing in his list, it would be like more enjoyable, don't you think?
Well,
Like
I'm not
a
even
nice
sure what you're talking.
surprise.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about. We see plenty of scenes of the characters doing something and then it getting crossed off the list.
Yeah. I mean like before that, so that we could expect. So like when he writes something he want to do in the list. If we see like the whole list of what it is like, I know that we saw that a couple of times, but it like uh it's not translated, so we don't know
I don't. I
about
think
the
that's fine.
things. Yeah, all right. Mm, all right.
I mean, I don't think the way that you're describing it, you kind of want it to be like a video game where you have a whole bunch of like objectives and
Yeah,
quests and stuff. I don't want
that's
that.
that that's true. Yeah. No, we don't want that.
There can be some surprises on the adventure. That'd be fine.
Mhm.
If only there were good surprises or pleasant surprises.
Mhm.
Like the build the
Yep.
treehouse one, for example, in episode 9,
Yep.
was just like a little pit stop and then they moved on.
Yep. Yep.
I That wasn't particularly interesting to me.
That's all right. That's all right for me. I think like it's the things they enjoy. Having a sushi like a top notch top quality sushi
Right.
in the middle of like a apocalypse. I think that kind of sweet in itself.
Yeah.
I I don't the last episode though I don't really enjoy that much in a sense that it's finally a chance that Akira to see his parents, and we later learned that one, like his father got sick.
Yep.
I I I think that he got bite by the zombie, but not too sure about that.
I don't
I
I don't think so. All
Yeah,
we see is blood on his hand, which to me reads like he coughed up blood into his
yep.
he covered his
I
mouth with his hand.
I rather prefer that. And two, we see that a group trying to sabotage that by like having like a herd of zombies coming to the town just because they can do that. I don't know why that would affect them as well, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know why they want to do that exactly.
yeah, true. But yeah,
He's just evil. He's the anti Akira with the anti bucket list.
yep.
That's just the logic that the show
Yeah.
runs on, I think.
One interesting thing is Akira seemed to recognize him. Like
Did he say
he
something like I swear I've seen that guy somewhere before.
yep.
Okay.
This guy looks familiar, so there might be some history between them. Maybe they used to study together, or
Could be. Like they were
cross paths
although I
before.
mean Kencho was Akira's friend in college. So
Yep, 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 yep,
assuming
yep.
that there was a scene where Kencho saw this new guy, um, that would Hagurashi, I guess is his name. Looking at my anime list here,
Yep.
uh,
The scene.
I would I would assume that Kencho would recognize him if he were from their
Yep.
college days. So, I mean,
Hmm.
it's still possible that Akira went to college with him, or maybe they worked together at one point. Whatever.
Yep.
Um, Maybe he knows him from the internet somehow. Like what he recognizes is actually his voice.
Hmm.
I don't.
Yep.
I don't know. And I mean, I may never know. Like the three, I pay pretty close attention to what new anime are coming out, like on a weekly basis. So
Yep.
when these new episodes, or rather the three episodes that we're supposed to have seen by now, but we haven't, when they eventually come out, I will learn about it. But there's no guarantee that I'll watch them. So I may never find out what his relationship to this guy is.
I gonna spoil you. I gonna tell you.
What you mean right now or in the future?
No, 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 no. In the future,
Oh,
when
okay.
I watch the last three episodes,
Yeah, go for it, man. I mean, I don't even know
I
if we'll get him this year.
uh yeah, that is true.
There's only 3 months
So
to go.
yeah, so to answer your question, Zone 100 is not a show that I'm ready to watch because episode by episode I still find something to enjoy and it's still entertaining. It just I actually feel and I think this is controversial for me to say this. For me, is that I enjoy High School of the Dead more than this one. So
Oh,
100.
I completely agree. I think High School of the Dead, like the last few episodes start to drag a little, in my opinion, but I think there are plenty of like very good episodes of High School of the Dead.
Yep.
It's a strong production.
Yep. I agree with you on that. I kind of like the plot in here that that have like multiple colors and it doesn't look cross out because of that.
Yeah, I got used to it, but I don't have a an opinion on it one way or another. Like I think it's kind of silly, but it probably lets them get around some censorship issues, and
Hmm.
it does add some like visual vibrancy to each image where somebody is bleeding or there's like a blood
Yep.
explosion or whatever.
Yep.
Um, it's all right.
So yep, such a shame.
Eh, plenty of anime start off well, and well, I mean, in 2023, not that many anime start off well, and then even fewer end well.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but
Yep.
it's not, like High School of the Dead. I mean, High School of the Dead set a perfect precedent for this series to follow in its footsteps and just kind of like trail off towards the end. You start explosively, and then you realize it's an apocalypse, and you run
Mm.
out of like every single scenario in the show that the characters have gotten into so far has been interrupted by zombies. I feel uh, like when they
What do
go
you
to the
mean by
hot
that?
springs, for example. Surprise! There's zombies.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
a zombie in it, and if like you got, wouldn't you assume that you would get
I
infected like that?
Yeah, I think the most surprising out of that episode is that the zombie was in the hot spring themselves. They was swimming for a while until they realized that you know there are a couple of zombie in the hot spring.
Right. Well, the I think the reason that the author like put zombies in there was to interrupt the promise of seeing the girls naked or in their
Yep.
swimsuits or whatever,
Yep.
so that
Yeah.
the audience could
Yeah.
be like, "Oh man!" And then eventually you
Yep.
double back around to it when they find the lake, I guess,
Yep.
wherever they're camping. So
Hmm.
it's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, we got it after all. We got the scene." That's why the zombies were in there. But I'm like, if I'm watching that scene, the only thing I'm thinking when the zombies show up is, okay, well, Akira and Kencho have to like quarantine themselves away from the women, uh, like for and see if they develop any symptoms or whatever. Because I would think that you could just die, or
Yep.
rather, you could get infected, like you would become a zombie because if you have like the smallest little cut anywhere on your body, where you're in the I don't know, man. Shouldn't be thinking about it so scientifically, I guess. Not that I'm a
Yeah.
scientist.
Yep. 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 So we get into the next show. You do you have any comment on Genre 100?
No, I'm good. Do the next one.
All right, and that your mother first. So we watched the first episode and we really enjoyed the meeting between the main trios.
Yeah, honestly, Undead Girl, Murder Farce. I mean, for all three of these shows, it's been the same amount of time since we've seen the first episode. But
Yep.
this show in particular has evolved so many different times to take on like different shapes that I
Yep.
barely remember the first episode at all. It takes place in Japan. That's the one that's in Japan, right?
Yep. That's the one in Japan.
And
That's the
he's
one.
working for like a circus ringleader or something, and then
Yeah.
he meets Shizuka, who's carrying the cage. And then the
Yep.
rest of the episode, I think, is just them talking.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Okay.
And then we get into like three main cases that they have to go through.
Right.
The first one is about the vampire, family of vampire, and center around one of the murder.
Uh huh.
The second one is we they get into England and see Sherlock Holmes, moralities, and all these. Uh, uh, who is the French thief guys?
Lupin.
Um, Lupin. Oh my God, how can I forget that? Yeah,
Yeah.
so they kind of mix all the famous names into this case,
Yeah.
and the last guy is about werewolf.
Yep. Yeah. Then
So
they're all very different. I mean, they're all mysteries. They're all murder, supernatural murder mysteries, and there's some action in all of
yeah,
them.
yeah,
But the sheer number of characters that the show throws at you makes it
yeah,
very difficult to categorize all three stories like in the same way.
yeah, yeah. That is true. And I think this is a show that very intriguing. It have a lot of ups and downs as well. Uh, how all right, just general, how do you like the show?
I thought like after I'd seen the first two cases in full, so that would be episodes 2 through 8.
Yep,
I thought, wow, this show's really great. As expected of the Rakugo director, and in fact, Sugaru, the one of the main characters, the Oni,
yep,
like frequently will recite Rakugo stories.
yep.
So that was an interesting link to Hatakeyama, his former series.
Hmm.
Uh, but then we got to the third case, which comprises episodes 9 through 13, the last 5 episodes, and the show completely and utterly lost me. Like I could not even summarize for you
Wow.
the
All right.
events of that case. It was just the fact that
Or
one
I try
person
my best.
was playing two different roles, and the corpses she was leaving corpses at both the werewolf village and the human village,
Yep.
and she looked identical to another human character, and then there were so many other characters both at the werewolf village and the human
Yeah.
one, and then other characters, from not only Banquet, the organization of antagonists, but also
Yep.
the Royce Insurance Agency.
Yep.
They all get involved, so that the start of episode 13 is just multiple fight scenes bleeding into one another with really weird digital effects linking them. And
Yep.
I was like, man, fuck, I'm completely lost. I don't know what. My only notes for the last 3 episodes are just, huh? I just wrote huh with a bunch of question marks after it. That
All
was all.
right.
That was all I could do.
Yeah. Well. To be fair, I think whenever that girl Anya saw the case, it always a bit like stretching in the way that of her reasoning. So I found that to be the same in both three cases that we watch. For the werewolf, I just try my best to summarize. So there was a murders in both the werewolf and the human village. Um, for some reason, there are some kind of like counterpart. So like a girls in the werewolf would look alike to that girls in the human world. For some reason, that the things that I don't get.
I'm pretty
But
sure she explains it, but I couldn't tell you how.
yeah, I don't even understand why that girl Nora the murderers or Judith yeah, I think her name is Judith or
Yeah,
something.
it's Jute
Will
or something.
Judith, yeah, would look alike to that girl in the wheelchair.
I think they're just very similar. Louise
All
is
right,
the name of the wheelchair girl.
Julie, right? All right,
Louise and Jute is
Louise,
the
yeah. All
the
right.
werewolf girl.
But anyway, because werewolf have shape-shifting skills, so I think it doesn't really matter anyway. But there was three murders um in the werewolf village. And there was three murders in the human, and she tried to like double she tried to be a part of both worlds by going between these village and try to kill in order to get this girl out, this girl from the wolf village out. I do
No,
you
she
understand what I say
no.
so far?
She was the murderer. She was the one who killed all the girls.
Yeah,
And she
she
used their
killed.
corpses in both locations in order to manipulate the two villages into a war with each other because she hated them both.
Yeah, that one part of that is right, but she only kills the human girls, not the wolf one.
No, they're the
That's
same, aren't they?
No, they're not the same. They're not the same. She killed the girls in the village side and get their corpse to the werewolf side, so that on these girls on these on the werewolf girl that has been supposedly killed, they can get away. I think that's her master plan.
I don't get it.
All right, yeah. I think that is explained by Aya at the end, so that's why she let her go because of that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but but yeah, that just a piece of it. And I think it's really a poor choice by no by uh Aya to let her go as well, because I remember the banquet is out there looking for werewolf. So if they let Nora go girls, wouldn't she be captured by the banquet? And what the banquet role is all in all this,
Well, Banquet's role is they're led by Moriarty, and
Yep,
he's just like a mad scientist in this show.
yep,
He
yep,
just wants
yeah,
to experiment on people and fuse them together with supernatural creatures, which is how Tsugaru and Aya, became the way that they are, is because of him. That's why I was very interested in the second case in particular,
mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm,
that's the one where Moriarty's role is revealed,
yep,
and then he
yep,
becomes like the primary antagonist. And oh, okay, so that's
yep,
gonna be what the characters are aiming for the whole time, is to take him down, like get revenge on him and get
yep,
Aya's body back and cure Tsugaru, so that he
yep,
doesn't have to drink Aya's saliva anymore in order to stave off his transformation into being like a full Oni. But the third case kind of loses focus on Moriarty. I mean, he is present because Banquet comes to that town,
yep.
but
But
Moriarty isn't
yeah,
really a part of the conclusive showdown. It's just
that's
Victor, the Frankenstein monster, from
Yep.
Banquet. Who's oh well, that's not true because in the last episode, Carmilla and what's his face, the magician,
Yep.
um,
All right. I just remember him as a
Aleister.
magician. Alistair. Yep.
Yeah. So Carmilla is from the vampire novella um,
All right.
by Le Fanu, which like
Yep.
was pre Dracula. It was like one of the earliest instances of vampire fiction. And then
Yep.
Aleister is named after Aleister Crowley, who was a British like occultist and philosopher and stuff in the early 20th
Right.
century. So all the characters, not just in Banquet, but like various characters in the whole show are, you know,
Yep.
named after fictional characters from like Victorian literature or real life figures who are kind of tied to the supernatural or the occult
Yep.
in Britain or what have you.
Yep.
Kind
Yep.
of
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah. But I don't even know what they end goal in the last case because they kind of support the trio. But I think the main goal is for them is to capture one of these or all of the werewolf, which we don't see that at all.
I think specifically Moriarty wants like the uber werewolf, like the
Yeah,
super
yeah, yeah,
werewolf. I
yep,
can't
yep,
remember
yep,
the
yep.
term for it.
Yeah, it have the German name.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
mean, I guess
wolf.
the town, the human village in that batch of 5 episodes was called like Hulendorf or something, which sounds kind of German.
Yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
oh, Kinsführer,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kinsführer.
That.
That's what Moriarty wants.
Yep. And it
Just the fact that
isn't
you
like
don't really see him very much in those 5 episodes, though, kind of makes you less sure what exactly his goal is. But I think that's what it
yep.
is.
But I can tell you my favorite character right now out of the whole cast, the whole
Oh,
big cast.
Lupin for sure, man.
No, Victor for me, man.
Victor, really.
Yeah, he just so kind for like for being one of the member in the banquet. Like he works so well with the uh which to get room for like to help him and even like to review him that Aya body is in London. He's the best dude.
I do recall a conversation between Victor and either Shizuka or Aya, where
Shizuku.
oh, is it Shizuku?
Yeah, yeah,
Yep, it is. Uh, I can't remember
yep,
whether he was talking to Shizuku or Aya, but there's a conversation like very briefly between the two of them
yep.
where like it's kind of implied that Victor is a double agent almost.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, like
I
he's
didn't get that
maybe
sense.
he's talking to Aya or something, and she says, how much time do you have, or are you alone, or something along those lines,
Huh.
to kind of
All
hint at
right.
the fact that Victor like will cooperate with her, but only when he's on his own. Because she asks
Hmm.
about where the other members of Banquet are, and he's like, "Well, Carmilla and Alistair came with us, but we can only move at night because
Yep.
Carmilla's with us." And the way that discussion plays out kind of makes me think that he tells her all that in order to reassure her that they're going to be able to he's going to be able to cooperate with her in a limited
Yep.
capacity.
That's very interesting. And if that's the case, though, I'm over it. I just think that he awesome for like for being in the banquet uh the team and like have the heart as big as him.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, you see like in the big battle between the two villagers
Yep.
that Aleister and Carmilla get involved in? Do you really see him participate in that at all?
Not not really. No, I don't remember that.
I
No.
don't either.
Yeah.
So
He
I'm
just
wondering like what is his in terms of
role.
Banquet, what is his role? I mean, you see him carry around Moriarty a little bit upon his
Yeah.
introduction.
And even like when Moriarty sit down to explain his scheme, he's the one who give him the chair. He's a chair.
Right. Yeah, but it doesn't
Just
seem like he's one of the primary fighters, even though he's so massive.
yep, 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 yep.
Yeah, he's it's interesting like the role that he plays in the show. It's kind of ill defined. Um, and since this is a series of novels, I have to assume that there are many more cases, and there are also three
Yep,
members of the Royce Insurance Agency that we haven't met yet because they're all numbered. So one,
yep.
two, and six, I
But
think we haven't met yet. So they would come
yep,
later as well.
but I remember like the ninja assassin in Katanagatari.
Weren't
They
most
have
of the
like the
characters in that show assassins?
yeah, well, remember like there's like a bunch of them who like fight who challenge the main either the main characters or other character and then get killed almost immediately.
Yeah,
I think this guy this from the agent from this agency whatever gonna be like that they appear like usually two of them appear in one case cause some ruckus and then get killed off.
were
we
they
we we,
were they
we
killed
had four
off?
now. We have four now and I think the four of them will get killed off already. I'm pretty sure that the two in the England case get killed off.
Right, and they were Fatima Double Darts and Reynold Stingheart.
All right, thank you very much for that.
And I don't remember whether they lived or died. I do remember that Stingheart survived a piano being dropped on him by Lupin,
Yeah,
I
yeah, but
think.
later on, I think he got killed by Jack.
Oh. Yeah, I kind of remember there was like an effect where Jack like scrapes you see Jack's hand kind of scrape down his
Yep,
body and then like little
yep,
red strings appear
yep,
vertically
yep,
indicating that
yep,
he's been like sliced into pieces. Yeah, I guess
yep.
so. There's
And
just so
even
all the action scenes are like so there's so many of them and they
yep,
cut between them so frequently that
yep,
I mean, it's just easy to lose track of who is where, what is what. I mean, I got a
yep.
whole bunch of notes, like pages worth, for this show alone in front of my face right now, and I can't
Yeah,
totally call
because
the whole picture to mind.
it's have a really huge cast and it try to get like everyone every character a personality. So that's why we get to see like a bunch of characters and uh like just like a whole lot of set piece.
Yeah, and
And
I
it's
honestly I think it was
getting confusing
successful.
at times.
I think it was
Yep,
successful at that in the England case, but not
yep,
in
yep,
the werewolf one. The werewolf one, there was like the mystery aspect completely dominated.
yep,
Um, because they had to go back and forth between the two locations, and then there's the whole issue of Shizuku being separated from the other two characters, and they have to spend time finding her. Not only that, but we also get Shizuku's perspective
hmm,
in the werewolf village, starting I think in episode 11,
yep,
where she's just with those three women who discover her and like try to hide her and keep her safe. That takes up half an episode on its own. Um, Even though the
yep,
England one probably had just as many characters and fewer episodes to work with, I feel like it did
yep.
a better job of balancing like character introductions and the mystery aspect and the heist
I
and the action.
Yeah, I would say because all the characters that we see in the second case especially are more essential, are more like they are the characters that we know before, for example Silverhome and Watson
Right.
and Lupin and even like the Phantom of the Opera as well,
Right.
somehow that they got him into that as well. And and then we got to see them like fighting off each others and then the banquet comes and like all the characters that based from mythologies and like you said even in real life this is like this character from Google Stray Dog as well,
Right. Yeah, it's true. It
so
does have that advantage because we're familiar with the characters,
yeah.
their names at least, and what made them famous. But
But
the show innovates, so like it doesn't just transplant the characters from one fictional work into another. For example, Lupin is like a world class fighter, and he can manipulate marbles or something. You
yeah,
remember the marble
yep,
scene?
yep. It's kind of weird, but I think with
I liked
CG
it.
as well. All right.
I was like, yeah. So obviously he had the prosthetic masks and the fake nose and stuff, because that's the Lupin that Japanese people would be familiar with based on the anime series. But they
Yeah.
also made him into a fighter so he could hold his own with the other
Yep.
characters. And the fact that
Uh,
they did it with marbles is just so bizarre that
yeah.
I got into it. The way he was like skating around on them and he was able to flick them at Tsugaru in order to incapacitate him and stuff.
Yeah. How about Sherlock Holmes? Does he have any superpower?
He
I cannot
does.
recall. All right.
I can't remember exactly what it was called, but there's as that case goes on, the characters kind of get paired up in like one on
Yep.
one or two on one battles.
Yep.
And there's a scene where he's hiding out in a museum or something,
Uh-huh.
or just a room that has sculptures or whatever. And
Yep.
Alistair is the banquet member who's like hunting him and Watson down.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Holmes does something. He gets him in the neck with like a poison dart somehow.
Right.
And
Yep.
I
I
don't
can't
remember
remember
exactly
that.
what he called his technique or how he did it. That didn't make a lot of sense to me, but he does have some sort of like ability to fight.
All right.
I can't
Very
give you any more
interesting.
details than that because I don't really remember. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's a fighter in this show too. Everybody
All right.
seems to be.
Yep. But the fact that we only refer to the second and third case and not the first case, which means that I feel that the first case is like more of like the introduction of the world
Well,
and
it's
doesn't
not only
really.
that, but it's also an introduction to the idea that the show is a mystery because that was not made clear at all in the first
Yep.
episode that it was going to take
Yep.
that turn.
Yep. And while watching like the first few episode of that case, I was thinking that what happened if we jump straight to it? Uh, in that case, instead of like the first episode that we got, so we will be like the vampire. We will separate uh as the K user at Aya head. What do you think? Because
I don't
they
know.
kind of use that gimmick for like for every time
Right.
when when the trio got introduced.
Yeah. I mean that could have worked.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yep.
why the scriptwriter made the decision that they did in order to have the little introductory episode.
Yep.
I think it was fine.
Hmm.
It could have been cool to do it the other way, for there to be an element of surprise for us as well the first time that we meet Aya. But I maybe it was because Hatakeyama being the director for this series, they kind of wanted to play up the theatricality of it. So they wanted to
Hmm.
introduce us to Tsugaru and the fact that he's like a storyteller and a showman. They
Yep.
wanted to
Yep.
establish that about his character up front, so that that kind of playful, like farcical aspect of his persona would run through everything that came afterwards, like all three cases. We would already know that about him.
Yep. Yep.
And there would be like the element of trickery kind of that because I think he really enjoys tricking people into thinking that
He's a fool.
as the cage user, the
Yep.
person that he's
Yep.
carrying is not really a person at all, and he just has some mysterious cage related powers.
Yep.
So maybe that was the idea, was like that we would share in that knowledge, and so we would get to like experience. We wouldn't be on the outside looking in. We would experience like his joy at fooling people and kind of putting on a show that way.
Maybe I think that makes more sense. Yep.
It's just a theory. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, I do think that the second case in England is where the show shine the most,
Hmm.
and it is written by Chiaki Konaka, the guy who writes Zero Experiment Lanes,
Really, Konaka was on this episode.
Ghost Hunt, among others. Yeah, Chiaki Konaka.
Yeah. Hmm. Oh yeah, there he is. Script.
Yep.
Oh, but it doesn't. So he wrote that case specifically.
Yeah, I think he's involved in that case. I don't know if he's the one who wrote the novels or he's the one who helped writing this for the series. But yeah, he's the head writer of that case only.
Yeah. Wow, I see that here. Interesting. Yeah, and that was my
Yep,
favorite too.
yep,
And I mean, I don't love everything that Konaka writes. Uh, like the
yep,
original Helsing adaptation in 2001, I
uh-huh,
thought was pretty dry, and that was his work. Um,
yep,
but yeah, well, that's cool. I didn't know that. Interesting detail.
yeah, hmm, yeah, that's right. So yep, I feel that as a whole, I enjoy Undead Girl Murder Fast. I think that it tried to be overcomplicated at times. It tried to trick you a lot into to the point where when it tried to resolve everything, something like some loot threat will will get into you. But it also an action show, and there's a whole bunch of action with people with special abilities and uh grand entering entrance and very smooth face off between each other. I As a whole, I think I enjoy the show.
Yeah,
I don't mind watching another core bit.
the action direction, it's interesting because knowing who the director of this series is,
Hmm.
Rakugo and Kaguya-sama are both pretty talky. There's not
Yep.
a whole lot of action. So coming into this series, I was like, how is that going to be handled? And I really was a fan of the action direction for most of it because it was successful at like depicting really quick bursts of action. Like a lot of the footsteps
Hmm.
would be really fast paced when characters would be lunging at each other.
Yep.
And the even though the show couldn't really animate characters moving in like complex patterns or anything, it would use some camera tricks,
Hmm.
like flipping the camera upside down or rotating it, around a character to make you feel as though they're moving really quickly in sync with the fast sound effects. It was like they got creative, and I feel like it was
Hmm.
mostly successful. But then when the werewolf stuff came, there were some really gnarly cuts that didn't look anything like a werewolf running in some of those
Ah.
fight scenes. And then I don't know if you remember this, but in episode 13 at the very end, the fight between Sugaru and Yute, I guess was her name.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I've been saying Jute, but I guess it's Yute. That fight is like they mostly just cut to black and then there's sounds of like
I
scratching. And then they do this weird scratchboard effect where it's all black, but then you see some like blue and red lines being carved into the blackness before
Yep.
disappearing.
Yep.
They ran out of money and time towards the end.
But I thought that was really creative. Like the way that that her get splash get into the lake and then she have to splash up on the water. And we see like the stroke of that. It's really cool. Like I actually a fan of that.
What are you referring to specifically here?
All right, right. That scene, that fight scene.
Yeah,
Remember like when as Sugaru so when I think today Honora she turned off on the light so she attacked Sugaru like bit by bit
right.
and then Sugaru anticipate her movement and kick her to the leg and then because she was wet she as a wolf or a dog was wet so she had to spread off the water out of her body
Right. I remember him
that
saying that dogs are vulnerable when they're like shaking water out of their coats.
yeah so that's when Sugaru just kind of tie her off by chains because she give away her like her sound and her whereabouts.
Yeah, that didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, the animation of it, you where you can see like a bit of her, like as in the wolf body and spread off the water. It was really cool to me.
Hmm.
So that's what I was referring to.
I don't really remember that. I remember the broader strokes, I think, of that fight scene. Just in general, the fact that the lights were off and you were seeing the scratches, like
Yep.
not as they were being inflicted, but just represented artistically.
I
Uh,
thought that was creative.
it was creative. I mean, I want like the show gets some points for it for not just resorting to stills,
Yep.
because I feel like the sort of director that Takayama is, he wouldn't he would like rather die than just resort to stills.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
he would want to spice it up somehow, which they
Yep.
did. Um, but I mean, for example, I keep referring to the action in not even the action, but I just generally keep referring to the second case.
Yep.
That's where the action was the strongest.
Yep. 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 Agree. Agreed.
And the fact that the show couldn't go all the way with it in an episode, the final case, especially, do you remember the scene where Carmilla encounters Shizuku again?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
there's all the weird, like, there's a whole bunch of
Werewolf.
what are all those colored blanket looking things?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think that's from their clothes. I have no idea.
It was so bizarre. I was like, what? I really
Yeah.
wish that that scene had been given a little more time, in
Yep.
terms of just like producing it, animating it, and
I
everything, because
I agree.
it could have been amazing, but
Yep.
instead it was just kind of like a cool concept where you could see what it was supposed to be, but you you kind of came away from it feeling like you didn't get all of it.
Yep. 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 I
Um,
agree with you on that because I was looking forward to the rematch between Shizuku and Camila.
right.
They just have a really good chemistry somehow.
Well, there was also the detail that she wasn't wearing panties
Oh yeah.
during the because
The-
as revenge for her dropping Sugaru's pillow down the chimney and getting it all
Yep.
dirty, he when he gave her her clothes, I guess
Yep.
he didn't include her underwear.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
The rivalry
Oops.
between the two of them was pretty entertaining.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. One the straight face and one play the fools.
Right. Yeah,
So that's why.
the fact that they're such opposites as well,
Yep.
definitely contributes to how amusing it is.
Yep. So yeah, we have like all different factors, and I have no doubt that we're gonna see Nora or Juliet in the future because I think she's gonna play a part in the future as well. But there are other werewolf as well, and they're just a whole bunch of other characters. I think the fact that they're gonna go back to London would mean that we're gonna see more of Sherlock Holmes and maybe Lupin.
Maybe. Why do you think they're going back to London?
Oh, because Aya body is in there.
Oh,
That's what.
right. Moriarty has it.
Yep, yep, yep.
Right.
So they headed back to London. That I'm sure of.
I mean, I wonder if this show will have a second season.
Yeah,
Who
yep.
knows?
Who knows? Hopefully.
All right.
All right. Um, you good for Oku?
I'm good for Oku. Or
Damn,
should I
like
say Oku?
Oku.
Because
Yep,
there's three O's.
yep, yep. All right. So just I think this is like Undead murder fast as well. In the sense that the first episode is more like introduction. Like we get introduced, but like the rest of the episodes of the season is about other characters.
I mean, then it's not like Undead Girl Murder Farce. Because in
Yeah,
Undead Girl Murder
that's true.
Farce, it's the same characters.
Yep, yep, yep. The way I frame it is not it's not appropriate, but yeah. Well, we got into like a whole call about like where it all begins and
Right.
all right, how do you feel in general of the show?
Oh, man. I really wish that
All right.
Hasakeyama had
Interesting.
directed this one,
All right. Yep. 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 Yep.
and because or that the series had just been a little better looking or had a little more time put into it or
Yep.
something, because the visuals are really kind of suck the air out of the series. Uh,
Uh.
but there's so much to enjoy about it.
Yep.
Um, but it doesn't deliver in terms of its looks,
Right.
and that can
I
be
actually.
very distracting and even like kind of disgusting at some points.
Huh.
Do you
All
remember the
right.
scene in
It.
episode 6
Yep.
where Arikoto and Iemitsu, I think, are intimate for the first time?
Yep.
Maybe it's not actually the first time, but it's they like make out.
Oh yeah. They share the kisses.
Yes, it
Yep.
looks awful, man. It was so it was like it was disgusting looking.
Uh, all right.
It
I.
looked like a little kid taking two dolls and mashing their faces together to make them kiss.
All
That
right.
was the level of like accuracy, I guess, or intimacy that was on display during this scene where two characters are like passionately expressing their love for each other. It was just terrible, man.
Right.
Honestly,
I.
when I think back on this show in the future, I think I will remember that moment above all else.
Oh man, that's gonna be suck. But I would say that I don't really mind the visual that much. It not distracting me that much. It could have been much better, but I think the show benefit from the fact that it had a very little action and more about design, custom design, character designs.
Right.
So like the issue they have with the production isn't that uh flattering to me.
Well,
It
that's
for
good.
sure it for sure doesn't detract me from like enjoying this show, and there's I think there's a lot to say about these shows.
Yeah. Well, it's alternate history. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to like
Yeah,
dive into.
and yeah. So I think first of all is the gender politic because it depict the world where the male population is just like one fourth, and I think at one point of the show they also say that the reason why a woman into leading is not because men uh I I don't remember the exact phrase that they have, but they it's more like male is more of like the child bearer, and they don't do any other function anymore.
Right.
So that's why they not regarded as high as the female counterpart.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's a combination of factors because there's not really enough men. Not every
Yep,
family is gonna be able to pop out a bunch of kids until they get a boy, and then
yep,
assume that that boy will one day be able to lead the family, because
yep,
they'll probably die.
yep, 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 yep.
But
Because
then
I think
there is the fact that like men are regarded as like breeding studs,
yep, yep,
which is very interesting to think about.
yep. Yeah, I think this is very interesting that we get the point of view of agriculture and the way that he made Yemisu. And agriculture was a monk to begin with.
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
As was
talking about
Gyokue,
irony.
who
Yep, yep,
becomes
yep,
Otama, I think, one of Iemitsu's lovers.
yep. I think he gonna play a part in the future. I would think.
What do you mean?
Be- Well, I just feel that his role is not completed yet.
Well, it's definitely complete because he becomes a monk again. Remember, he shaves his head
Oh
again and
yeah,
takes
yeah,
his
yeah.
vows.
I forgot about that. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's true. Yes. Huh.
Yeah, so his role is over. But
Yep,
it
yep,
doesn't
yep.
matter because it's you got the shogun who has the military might of Japan behind her, and so she can just if she wants a new man, she can get one.
Yep, yep, yep. And yeah, we see how like how all the normal structure change in this one, like how it's gradually change. And I think plus with the fact that we see how that society goes in the current present time.
When you say present
So
time, what do you mean?
the present time of the first episodes, from the
Okay.
first episodes, because
Yeah.
it flashback. And we see like how some of these decision from this shogun, from Ieyasu, that like having an effect, a twisted effect into like the future generation, like the way that she said, like the first man uh who
Who takes the
who
shogun's
played.
virginity?
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for thank you. uh will be executed.
Right. Which is what was going to happen to Mizuno in the pilot in the premiere.
Yep.
But
Yep, that's
then
right.
he's pardoned by Yoshimune.
Yep. 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 So when Iemitsu talk about that, we can see her reason, and how she hated that, and she did experience that, and even like like the power of a woman gradually change as well, because Iemitsu's mother and even her at first got raped. So it's more like the act of like the male is above the girls, and it's gradually changed as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
they it takes a while. Like you see
mhm.
various meetings between the six representatives
Yep, 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 yep.
um, uh, alongside, Iemitsu is typically present at those meetings, or is sometimes, and then Kasuga, and then also what was his name? Um, I have a ton of names here in my notes. It starts with an M. I remember that.
Matsushima.
Is it Matsushima? No,
Is it the one?
Masakatsu. It's Masakatsu.
All right. Is he the
He's
one who?
Kasuga's son,
Yep, 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 yep.
but it
Abs-
has to be kept secret because Kasuga, um, like she can't let anyone know that Masasuke is her son. I think because she
yep.
herself is a descendant of um, the guy who arranged Oda Nobunaga's suicide. What was his name? He's like a really famous Japanese like traitor.
Oh
Um,
wow.
is it
Okay.
Mitsuhide? Akechi Mitsuhide? I'm gonna have to
All
do
right. All
Control
right.
F on my notes. Mitsuhide. Yes. So it's in episode 6 where we learn that. Oh shit! I lost my place. No. It's in episode 6 where we see Kasuga's backstory.
Yep.
Like her family has to flee because when the shogunate is established, her family is persecuted due to their relation to Akechi Mitsuhide, who opposed Oda Nobunaga's rule.
All right.
And
Didn't
so
know that. All
Kasuga
right.
has to keep the fact that she has a son secret.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's essentially the seventh representative. I don't know why I'm getting like down in the weeds here with all these details. Uh, but he ends
It's
up he's the one who ends up killing himself at the end because as Arikoto speculates, he may have been in love with the shogun.
yep, 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 yep. Oh gosh.
Anyway, there you go.
A, a lot of details. All right.
Yeah,
So
there
the
really
one,
are.
hold on. So uh the one who write down, who become the scribe.
Right. See, so that is Masasuke, not Masakatsu.
All right. So was he, or is he Lady Kasuga's son at all? No.
No, it's Masakatsu who's her son.
All right. All right.
Masasuke
Oh.
is just another member of the Ooku.
All right. All right. All right. All right. I think I get it now.
Yeah, so the one that you're thinking of was that's Masasuke. He's appointed scribe by Arikoto, and so he writes the Chronicles of the Dying Day,
Yep.
which is the title that Kasuga decides. She
Yep.
decides on that title as like a record of events in the Oku.
Yep. All right. All right. I think I got it now.
Well,
Uh,
there's plenty more characters than just them, but yes, the reason I went down that whole rabbit hole is because you brought up that we see gradual changes in the way that society operates, like a female
yep,
driven society operates in Japan.
yep,
And it's
yep,
those meetings with the six representatives where some of those changes are first proposed, and then
hmm,
ultimately like those guys want to hold off on making that decision, probably because they're accustomed to
yep,
the patriarchy and
yep,
everything being passed down through men.
yep,
Even though some of them only have daughters. There's that
yep,
little side story about one of those guys with the gray streaks in his hair. He
hmm,
has his daughter pose as his son so she can inherit the family. And then
yep, yep,
eventually at one of these meetings, Iemitsu says, "Okay, it's time.
yep,
Women are the
yep.
heads of the households now, and et cetera, et cetera, other
I
policies."
I think that's pretty convincing as well because like we can see that some of these family that that only have daughter like im impersonate as a boy in order to keep the tradition of the families, and we even see like not in that society, but like in the family life, so in the like more uh
Like the common people.
yeah, more common people, how that function as well, how like the woman just raise just do uh
They work
like
in the
just
fields and they make
they work.
decisions for the households.
That's right, and they even take on the tradition of the job passed by their fathers. So when we see all the motive facets of like women taking control of the work of this society instead of men.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see the change, and even we see that the decision is like inevitable.
Yeah.
It's time for a change.
Well, just yeah, the demographics. You can't have a
Yep,
when men are only 20% or 25% of your society.
yep,
And there's no guarantee that
hmm,
like a young boy or man who you're placing your hopes on to lead your family will
yep.
survive.
That's right.
You It's got to be the women who lead. And the
Yep.
fact that they take a while to get there
Hmm.
adds to the believability of it. They don't immediately in response to this pandemic say, "Okay, men are just walking penises and
Yep.
it's girl power time." It takes
Yep.
a while for that idea to like gain traction.
Yep.
You get to see the evolution of it over time because the show I can't for some reason in my notes for episode 2 I didn't write down what year the show starts in.
Oh yeah.
I'm
All right.
assuming that we got that piece of information, but I didn't write it down.
I For some reason I think that is like 80 years ago
What do you mean 80 years
from
ago?
80 years from the first episodes.
Oh, but do you remember what year that was?
Mm,
Okay,
no.
well that doesn't really help me then. The what I do know is that in episode 8, which was the famine, like the Great Famine of 1642,
Hmm.
between
Hmm.
episode 8 and episode 10, 9 years pass because Iemitsu dies in 1651 when she's 27 years old.
Yeah.
So that means for the bulk of the series, she was a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember like when Arimoto first met her, she was like about 15 to 16 years old.
Is that right?
And she already had like a miscarriage a year before
No,
with her first child.
she actually had that baby. The baby just died.
Oh yeah, yeah. Huh. All right. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
I don't think that the baby was stillborn either. I seem to remember that the delivery was successful and the baby was alive.
Yeah.
But
Until
then shortly
it
afterwards, it died.
yeah it stopped sucking her breast.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So, but that pregnancy she had to carry to term, even though it was a result of rape.
Yep.
Um, So she has a terrible backstory, and
Yep.
the idea that she would want the secret Swain, the first person ever to lie with the shogun in the future, to be
Mm.
executed.
Yep.
Like, you can understand where that decision comes from,
Yep.
because of
Yep.
how she suffered in the past. And I
Yep.
mean, it wasn't just the fact that she was raped that like contributes to her suffering or comprises all of her all the misfortune that befalls her character before we get to know her. There's also the fact that Kasuga killed her mother and her I guess nurse or
Yep.
her
Yep.
nanny or something.
Yep.
So Kasuga is a huge villain. In fact,
Yep.
many of
See.
these characters are not really sympathetic.
Yep.
Um,
I agree.
but the show, the show still takes its time in like slowly um, making them more likable, I guess, or more human. I would say is probably a better way of putting that.
Yeah.
How
I
understanding like how vulnerable everyone in the show is. Um,
Yeah, I think she less of a villain is and more of like a person who still hold the tradition in the world where like everything started to change. So she's still the one who insists that she need to have a baby, a boy, in order to carry on the shogun's
the Tokugawa family.
families.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And even her, like at the end we see how she hold, like how she hold up her vows. I don't know what happened when she said that she doesn't take pills anymore, because she's taking a vow with her dad, with remember that,
I've yes,
with
I'm
Iemitsu dad.
I'm vaguely remembering that scene now. Why? Yeah, she took. I think she took a
Y-
vow to Iemitsu's father, who was the real Iemitsu, the second
yep, yep,
shogun.
yep.
But what did she promise him?
Yeah, I think something along with not drinking any more pills.
Not
Because
taking
he,
medicine, really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, something along that line, because he taking that really seriously, or maybe to die with him, or maybe
Yeah, I can't
something.
remember. But
Yeah,
it's a shame that I
I
can't
think it's fake.
remember the details there because I know exactly what you're talking about, and of course, it's a very important piece of information because it's
Yep,
like the terms by which she accepts her own death.
yep,
Um,
yep.
but honestly, I don't
And
know. Like she died, and I wasn't that sad about it.
yeah, and even even though that like she kind of the main villain in this core, because she's the one who opposed agriculture and Iemitsu the most. Actually, she the one who put agriculture to Iemitsu in the first place against his wills, and then when they are eventually fall in love, she put them apart just because agriculture cannot produce any child.
Right.
So like the heartbreak between them, but like even that, at the end it's Harikoto who like taking care of her, and they have like a really sweet, like saying goodbye to each other.
Is it? I can't really remember it being particularly sweet.
Well, I mean, like they really see face to face on in that they kind of like understand each other.
Right. Well, he keeps her secret about not taking the
Yep,
medicine.
yep.
Um, yeah, and yeah, he just sees her as more human, because he sees her when she's like old, frail, and close to death.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and at that point, he's already been through so much shit that the fact that she
Yep.
kept him apart from Iemitsu,
Yep.
he's like he hasn't forgiven her for it or anything. But so many years have passed that I think that
That
he didn't hold the grudge for that long. He had other shit to do.
yeah, but also it affect him to the point where like when she died, Iemitsu like think that it's time for them to like live together. And even then, Arikoto refused to like to stay in Iemitsu side.
Yeah, but he doesn't do that like in memory of Kasuga. He
Yeah,
he does that because he doesn't want to be, you know,
yeah, but I think
if
that
he can't have Iemitsu like as his lover
yeah,
exclusively, you know, it's painful for him to share her with other men.
yeah,
And then there's also the fact that she, like, based on her own whims, she could decide to throw him out, you know, or
yeah,
that she's
yeah,
tired of him or that she finds some new man that she likes more. You know, he's like guarding his own heart essentially by making that decision.
yeah. But I think it's to the effect from Kasuga decision before that, like that caused him to think and behave that way.
I don't know about that. I mean, they're positioned one right after the other, but
Yeah, yeah. But now talking about like all other swans, like we have Sutezu, who is that Sutezu?
Sutezo,
Yep,
yeah.
Sutezu,
And I can't
who
remember what name does she give him? Oh, something.
yep, he gave all all her mans something. So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't even remember.
me neither. I know that Arikoto is Oman, and Gyokue, who was Arikoto's, you know, he was his fellow monk. He becomes
Yep,
Otama, and I think Gyokue's rival, who hardly gets any you know, focus at all, it
yep.
was Oraku, but I can't
All right.
remember what Sutezo's name
Y-
was.
Yeah. Oh man, he got the worst
Oh
life.
yeah, he has the worst fate. He gets
Yep.
the red face smallpox.
Yep. At the age of 20s, but he's still a child. He's still a father of the first daughter who become a shogun later on.
Right, Chio.
Shio. Yep.
Yeah, and that's so you like alluded to the fact that perhaps Arikoto distancing himself from the shogun was a result of his experience with Kasuga. Um, I would say that there's a more clear cause and effect relationship between him like serving Sutezo on his deathbed and him caring
Yep.
for Chiyo, his daughter, the new
Yep.
shogun. I
Yep.
like the
Yep.
fact that he becomes Chiyo's like playmate in her young age. Like you,
Yep.
one of the last scenes you see that's set at the Ooku is her like approaching him and saying, "Let's play," and he
Yep.
says, "Okay, sure, let's play. Let's go to your chambers."
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
that's really,
Yep.
man. Sutezo just
He well, like he paralyzed himself just because like he got full all by himself.
he like jumps for joy and says "Banzai" because of the news that I can't remember. Like if she just the fact that she had been that she was pregnant or that she successfully
No,
delivered the baby girl.
no, 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 no,
Some
no,
good
no, no.
news. He just
She
falls.
she give him a nickname.
Oh, is that right?
Yep. Yep.
Damn,
So
and we
that
can't even
moment,
remember the nickname. We can't even remember the name that caused him to get paralyzed.
yeah, and then he started to think that like I'm a father of the first daughter, and now I'm having a nickname, so like I'm gonna be someone important in the future.
Right.
Yeah, and then
And then
he does
turns
a
out,
little
nope.
jump. Yep. But yeah, talking about that Iebisu varied decision, like decision on the friendship to try in like a far away island, so that they don't know about the fact that all the men in Japan have been perished.
Oh, you're talking about Dejima Island, which was
Yeah,
the
Deshima
only
Island.
port where the Dutch were allowed to go to
Yep.
trade with the Japanese. Yeah.
Yep.
So that actually happened in history.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but because
Hmm.
during this era, the Edo period, like Japan really did close off its borders, and
Yep.
they only did trade with the Dutch at that particular port. But this
Hmm.
show, you know, kind of hijacks that historical fact and comes up with a new motivation for it, which is that they had to hide the fact that all their men were dying from
Yep.
foreign countries.
Yep.
In reality, it was just because they wanted to close the borders
Yep.
um, for I don't
Very
know. They just
interesting.
wanted to keep foreigners out. They didn't want any conflict because they had just been through the warring states period, and the country was finally unified underneath the shogun,
Yeah.
and they didn't want any like outside interference.
That very interesting. That the way that this show like mix between the fact and like their own law. And I was getting to that as well. So Ieyamitsu decision to move to that port and then to release 100 men out of the Oku
Oh
to
yeah,
become a concubine.
yeah. So that's one of the clearest examples of the show being like, well, how would you like it?
Yep,
Basically, because
yep,
that was the fate of many women, during this time period. They were sold into sexual slavery,
yep,
and
yep,
now it's the men who get that
yep,
treatment because they're the ones who are considered like rare and beautiful, I guess,
yep.
because there are so few of them. There's just
That
demand
yeah,
goes down, or rather supply goes down and demand goes up.
yeah. I remember one distinctive example where one unnamed man just say like I'm gonna escape tonight, and then there was one of the guys who say no chance.
Yeah,
Oh god, yeah,
yeah. That's even though like Kasuga is kind of positioned as the major antagonist, Iemitsu is not a hero.
yeah,
I don't
that's
think.
true.
Like, I mean, you could view her that way, I suppose, because she's resilient.
Mhm.
She comes back from having to carry that awful pregnancy to term and getting over the death of her firstborn child and uh, managing to find love with Arikoto, and then that being stripped away from her, but still she persists as the leader of her country, et cetera, et cetera. But that that example that you provided of her, demanding that a
Ruthless.
hundred, yeah, she downsizes the Oku and 100 men have to go to the Yoshiwara Pleasure District. Not only does
Yeah,
the show tell us that, it also provides the specific detail that some
yeah,
of those men who were skilled in combat, she gave extra cash so that they would
yeah,
function as bodyguards so that no one would escape.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
the like the other men who I guess were not as physically gifted, or she wanted them to serve as the prostitutes.
yeah,
They were like slaves, just straight up.
yeah,
And she also like there's other stuff that she does that okay, the famine storyline.
yeah, yeah,
When
yeah,
she walks around with I can't remember the guy's name. It's like Denosuke or something. He
yeah.
serves as her guide and is explaining to her the the ways of the common people as they travel around in Japan.
Hmm.
And she sees that so many people are poor. And when she has a meeting with the six representatives afterwards, she's like, "Okay, what if we set up a tent in the middle of the common area in Edo where we feed the poor and we give them rice porridge for 1 week?" And they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, so naive. That'll never work. There's just like pissing in the ocean. It doesn't.
yeah,
That's not going to make any difference." And she's like, "Oh no, I don't expect that anyone's lives are going to be saved. This is just to prevent an uprising." That's
yeah,
extremely like a
yeah,
cold line of thinking.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
she's not interested in creating like a
Uh,
sustainable way of life for the people of her country. She just wants to make sure that the ruling class is not going to be disrupted by a revolt.
yeah. I think it's fit to her, like it say a lot about her characters, her personalities, and I really like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
s-
makes sense. It makes her a
it
very complicated character.
yeah, that is true. So I kind of a bit let down a little bit by the end where like it the way that Oku the show just go through the motion, like this is the historical fact. This year she died, like at the tender age of 27. We don't really see more of her of Arikoto and her relationship anymore. Like right after that, so it's more like just a plot point. It's a bit of a shame that it's in that way, that we don't have any grandeur uh, ending for the two.
Well, I
But
mean, he distanced himself from her.
yep, yep, yep. But she keeps saying that, like he's the man of her life and all that,
Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't mean that you're going to get that Hollywood ending. Just because she's
Yep,
said that doesn't mean they're going to have
yep,
one last tender night together or something
yep,
along those lines. Like he made a decision that
yep,
no, we're not. I can't be with you any longer.
yep, 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 yep. So yep, but some of the rule is established. So Arikoto is now the what they call the head jumper.
The senior Chamberlain, right?
All right, yep, yep, yep. And that would be the position that still hold up to the present day of when we see in the first episodes.
Yeah, was it Matsushima who was the senior Chamberlain in the present day?
Eh,
I can't remember.
yeah, it's a while ago, so I couldn't tell anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's I think maybe we're meant to believe that Yoshimune is the final shogun. Before,
Oh,
so she's the person who we met in episode one. I don't know if she's actually the final
yeah.
shogun, but eventually the
I
shogunate crumbles as a result of the Meiji Revolution. That's in
All
like the
right.
mid 1800s.
Yeah,
So it's not as though the shogunate would continue forever and ever. There has to be a
yeah,
final
but
one.
because they're all based from the real historical fact, and
Right.
I have a look up, and she was like just the middle, so there's still someone behind her.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so like four or five other generations.
Wow.
Uh, in that generation, four or five others shogun
Yeah.
before, yeah, before they fall down. So that's gonna be very interesting because I think she only serves as like the middle point.
Mm-hmm.
So the story eventually get back to her, but then it will continue on.
Right. Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, this manga was published over the course of I think 16 years, from 2004 to 2020, I believe.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think it probably covered the entire history of the shogunate, the Tokugawa
That
shogunate, which
yeah, that
lasted
is
for over 200 years.
that's very interesting. And yeah, there be like a live action film, a live TV series, live action TV series, and now this.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yep. Any other note? Because I think this is a clear winner out of the three for me. You have your issue with the production.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Dude, do you remember the scene where Kasuga barges in on the monks and she's like, "Okay, now you have to have sex with one of these girls." And he
Yep.
he refuses to break his vows. So she has one of the guys come in and stab um one of the monks and then stab one of the courtesans as well.
Hmm.
That scene is just completely kneecapped by the animation. It does not look at all like someone is being stabbed.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It looks like somebody motion captured some little Lego figures, uh, moving across a room and attempting to jab their plastic Lego sword into another Lego man's body, which of course you can't do. And then they were like, that's what I want it to look like. Make it look like that.
uh,
It's just terrible. This is supposed to be like a horrific, life-shaping act of violence that is going to make Arikoto renounce his Buddhist vows and become a man of the world.
yep.
And it doesn't look like that at all. It doesn't have any like gravitas whatsoever. There are a bunch of scenes that look like that in the show.
Yep.
Anytime it goes for like any sort of swift or sudden movement, you realize, wait a minute, this this never happened. This is not real at all.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Even like to the very first episode that you point out the background
oh yeah,
where
I saw
yeah.
plenty more compositing errors. Yeah, as the
Yep.
show went on,
Yep.
it was like
Yep.
I can't imagine because the director Noriyuki Abe directed this. He's like a crazy anime industry veteran. He must be like, I would guess he's probably 70 years old at this point.
Yep.
Um, so what is oh, okay. No, I'm totally wrong. He's just over 60. So I
All right.
overestimated his age. He's like 62.
Yep.
Um, but what is he thinking as he's producing this series? Like, what kind of thoughts is he having about how the anime industry has changed over time? That now he's responsible for this sort of work.
Yeah. Well, I think he tried to work the best with the budget that he has, and I think it more because it's in Netflix, so they have to produce like 10 episodes at once. So not
No,
go through like
It is not on net, dude. Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
right. All right. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
Netflix. All the anime that's on Netflix, or the vast majority of it, they have no hand in producing. They just pay to put it on their service, so it doesn't have anything to do with Netflix.
Right.
It's
Mm,
just whatever staff was assembled to create this anime in whatever time frame they had
yep.
couldn't really bring it to life visually.
Mm.
And if I'm Abe, the director, I'm thinking to myself, dude, why am I still even, why do I still make anime? Like, why, why haven't I just retired?
That that a bit too extreme.
That's, I'm telling you, that's what I would be thinking if I were him, because it doesn't look like a professional product.
All right. Ah, that's sad. I would definitely say that the person why not gorgeous doesn't really distract me from enjoying the show.
Well, happy for you, bro. That's good news.
All right. Does any of the show will make the top 10 of the list come to the end of the year?
You know, I actually anticipated you asking me that question, so here's what
All
I
right.
did. I went back and looked at the 9 shows that we had talked about in 2022 up to this point. Looking at 2022, the first 3 seasons, Kaguya-sama was the only show where I was absolutely sure it would end up on my top 10 list. And so, with regard to your question about do you think any of these 3 from summer 2023, it's the exact same situation. We've now talked about 9 shows, 3 per season, from the first 3 seasons of this year, 2023, and the only one I can say with confidence will be on my top 10 list is Skip and Loafer. So I'm at
All
the
right.
same point of like desperation for this year that I was last year after the same amount of time. So once again, it is all up to fall to save this fucking year in anime for me.
All right. And it doesn't look good like compared to last year, the fourth season.
You don't think so?
All right. We're gonna give each other a list of what to watch later on. Yeah. So the 10 shows. Yeah, they have Goblin Slayers, so it's gonna definitely be a hit. Or Shield Hero
Yeah,
season
there's
3.
shows like Rising of the Shield Hero and Goblin Slayer and stuff coming up next season. I have my own ideas of what might save the year
All
from
right.
fall and miscellaneous other shows from the past few months that I might double back to. But as far as these 3 that we just talked about today, no, I don't think any of
Yeah.
them are like guaranteed winners.
Right. Very interesting.
It's really just
All
Skip and
right.
Loafer like blowing everything else out of the water for me right now.
Alrighty. So another season gone, and we are looking at the fall 2023 season in a few weeks.
Yeah, just a couple. It's already started. Like the big Sousou no Frieren, the
Yep.
big fantasy anime that was like it had a 2-hour premiere. It was split into 4 parts on streaming services, so
Oh damn.
you'll
Yep.
see that there's like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. But
Yep.
it's a big 2-hour thing, same as Ooku and Oshinoko.
Yep.
That's a big one that a lot of people are like calling anime of the year already.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah, the reactions that I've seen have been pretty positive so far.
All
So
right.
that's obviously a big headliner, and there's a few others, I
All right.
guess.
But we gonna just try the first episode, right? Out of the four, or do we do a four?
I mean, that's up to you. I'd be all four episodes do like belong together in terms of
Right.
how it was produced, but we can just watch the first one. I think that'd be fine.
All right. So good to me. So see you guys in 2 weeks for a another out of our favorite specials, the full 2023 first impressions.
Another of our favorite traditions.
Yep, that's right.
Oh yeah.